Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the FearFans podcast. I'm your host, Don Elmy, and with me here is my co-host, Nick Muley. And last week we have been talking about Friday the 13th, the classic slasher film of the 80s, and also one of the longest-running franchises in the slasher genre. And now we decided to jump right into Friday the 13th Part 2, which was released the very next year in 1981.
Yeah, which also, when you think about it too, that was also the year 1981 was also when they had the most slasher films were released, and Friday the 13th Part 2 basically fit in perfectly. I mean, it just seemed like every weekend there was always a slasher film after another. So again, it fit perfectly into that year with all the other films that were released.
Oh yes. And another one of them was called The Burning, which that movie is actually the reason why Tom Savini didn't come back to work on this film. Like despite that he promised to, but he worked on to a couple more films after that. But he signed on to work on The Burning, which is another slasher film that takes place in a summer camp and focuses on the whole allure of the Cropsey maniac.
Yeah, and that movie is just insane. Just with the garden shears, it's like
Yeah.
it's just like almost completely out of control in that movie. Probably far more vicious than Friday the 13th is, and you got to
Arguably
admit, I mean,
so.
there were other films that followed uh that camp feeling to whatever you would call it, but because there were a few other movies like that, and The Burning I think was probably one of the more vicious ones, but
Oh
fantastic
yes.
movie.
Yeah, I saw it when I was 16, and I remember that massacre on that boat. Yeah, I remember
Oh
that.
my
And
god, the boat
and
scene.
and the film was also an early role for Jason Alexander.
That's right. Who of course became George Costanza on Seinfeld. Who would have guessed?
Yep, that's right.
And he's got
Oh,
hair in
yeah,
that movie too. He's not like what he is later when he's bald. He actually has hair in the movie.
yeah, that's right. Oh, hey, Leon, thank you so much for tuning in.
What's up,
Hey,
Jeremy?
Jeremy. Oh, and here he basically brings this up right here. Friday the 13th is coming out with a new movie once a week. Probably felt like, well, for the most
Yeah,
part, it was like once a year, made during the 80s. Yeah.
yeah,
But there was a bit of a gap between. I believe it was between part 2 and 3. They like skipped a year.
yeah. They did.
Yeah, and then yeah, it
Actually,
was
no. I
one of
think
the.
it was. I thought it was 1982 that Part 3 came out.
Oh no, no,
Wasn't
no,
it?
no, wait, yeah, it was between. Yeah, they skipped a year after part 3. That's my bad.
Yeah,
That's right.
they didn't make the fourth one until actually like 84. There was none in 83.
Yeah, that fourth one that was crazy. It had like how it had that kid who was always in all those. Oh, here, hey, Clark Kent, thank you so much for tuning in. Yeah, so yeah, we're covering Friday the 13th Part 2, and when and they even make it clear right off the bat that they intend to make this film somewhat the same yet different because there's a whole new killer. In the first one, it was Mrs. Voorhees, Jason's mother who never got over the death of her son. It blames Camp Crystal Lake and the counselors for his death, his drowning.
Yeah,
Then went on a murderous rampage to attempt to keep that camp shut down. And
right,
so,
right.
so basically, Jason is continuing his mother's mission, and which turns out Jason, like there were like several theories as to why Jason came back. The one like one of the common one is that he was like brought back by some kind of a curse on Camp Crystal Lake. But personally, I like to believe that he didn't actually die when he from drowning, like everyone believed. I think he like washed up on the shore and somewhere else in the lake and was just living in the wild ever since.
Or
Because
most likely, I was going to say he may have also just passed out or just went unconscious, and it was believed that he was dead, but he was actually probably unconscious.
yeah, I believe that that's the more likely scenario because they do say in the movies that they believe that he had drowned, but yet they never found his body.
Right.
Yep. And here, guess I am fastball. I'm
Baseball
not sure.
pitch.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. I don't know how to answer that one.
And 2, 3, and 4 all took place within the same week. Oh, yep, that's the timeline because Friday the 13th Part 2 takes place 5 years after the events from the first movie.
Right.
But actually, except for the opening of Part 2, that takes place about 2 months after the first movie because it was showing like what Alice was the survivor of the first film, Alice, how she had returned to the Crystal Lake area to try to like some sort of a therapeutic kind of a stay to get over the trauma, or I believe that's what it is.
I thought she wasn't in Crystal Lake. I thought she was. It showed that she was living in a neighborhood, so I thought it was somewhere else that she was living.
It could be a neighborhood within the town of Crystal Lake because I believe that would make it easier for Jason to have found her.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I.
See, Jeremy says here.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
what's Jeremy says? Jason is the zombie version of the Manchurian Candidate. What's that? I've never heard of that.
Not either. And let's see. Yeah, Jason came back to can kill Alice, like his very first victim,
Yes,
because
sir.
she was responsible for killing Mrs. Voorhees, ending her killing spree. Yeah, by chopping her head off, and then Alice finds that severed head inside the fridge. Jason had put it there to scare her, and then come up behind her and stab her with that ice pick to the temple.
That was just crazy with that ice pick that he used. But you know what? I think it also made it more frightening when they showed the head of Mrs. Voorhees, which at that point was like decomposed and just like almost mummified in a way.
That like
Uh Jeremy, we don't know what's going on with Jill. We're hoping she comes on, but we haven't heard from her in a while.
Yeah, she had something going on in her life that she needed to take a break from this for. So yeah,
Oh,
she's yeah, but
I didn't know
yeah,
that.
well, let's just let her take her break. Yeah, like whatever's going on, I hope it works out well. And yeah, she's welcome to come back whenever she's ready.
Oh, this is what Sarah was referencing. Manchurian Candidate is a reference to brainwashing.
Uh,
Okay.
let's see. Yeah. So and it's great. And the last thing he did, the one shot that I remember is like that tea that Alice had set up at the stove, like right after killing Alice, Jason like took that pot right off when it was the whistle was blowing, the tea kettle. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. So I'm guessing he just helped himself to some tea right after claiming his first victim.
And then, not to mention, believe it or not, there was a witness, and it was that cat that was
Yeah,
in the house. And you know, some people have often wondered, you know, whatever happened what was the fate to the cat. It is believed because we never really in any of the movies saw Jason like actually harm animals or anything. So
no,
it's most likely he probably just left it alone.
yeah, that's
And the case of the matter is, you know, I'm sure he probably still has some human, you know, what's the mentality, if you will. Maybe at some point he was also a lover of animals, so he decided that's probably why he never attacked, you know, like the cat or anything like that. So,
could have
and it's
been if
believed
only.
whatever happened, it's believed eventually that either the cat ran off or was eventually adopted, as they say. But we know it's believed he never harmed it.
Yeah, if only animals in the Halloween franchise were as lucky.
Uh, Michael Myers was different. He was basically an unstoppable force who would kill basically anything that moved. He didn't care if it was a human or animal. Jason, on the other hand, at least he has some human mentality. Hey, there's this is I'm betting this is Nikki of Night Watchers Paranormal Perth, Australia. Great
Hey,
to see you, Nikki. That's the first time
yeah.
I've seen her as on her Night Watchers page. So that's awesome. Oh God, look who's in the house. What's up, Brad?
Hey,
And guess
Brad.
what he said right after that? Maybe he had pet roaches.
Just, you just can never turn down an opportunity to get our next scan, huh?
Michael was eating animals. What?
Yeah, like it was believed that the dog that was they never showed this in the Myers house when the sheriff and Dr. Loomis were came to the Myers house in the first movie and came across like what looked like a dog had been chewed up. Like Loomis believes that Michael
Oh
had been eating
yeah.
the dog. Yeah,
Well, it's possible too. Again, maybe he has a partial ant. The fact that he probably had been living in the woods for so long, he probably had no choice but to eat animals. I mean, that's typical what happens when you don't have any real food sources.
yeah, and I doubt he's a vegetarian.
I doubt he is too. Now, Sarah says if he died as a child, he probably has a childlike mentality.
Yeah, he could have had a childlike mentality, but also I believe that he has this condition. I mentioned this in the last episode. This is a condition called hydrocephalus, which explains two different things: his appearance, because it causes water
Water in
swelling
the
inside of
brain.
the head, and
Yep.
it could also cause brain damage, which could affect his mentality as well.
Right, right. It was also
Yes.
referenced in Resurrection as well. He's talking about Michael eating animals.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, well, better than what we were chatting about the other day. Okay, that's great. See, if you didn't know, Don, I told you this last night on the phone, but Nikki and I, we've been chatting a lot in the last couple of days. So
Oh,
it's we talk about different things, one thing and another, mostly a lot of paranormal related stuff. So it's always chatting. It's always awesome chatting with her.
oh, nice. Don't
Don't
what
eat pie.
is? I'm sorry. That an inside joke or
It might be. I'm not entirely sure. Oh my
okay?
gosh, what's this? Y'all don't want to be around me when I eat barbecue. I don't know if I should touch that one.
Yeah. So yeah.
Oh,
So in the
don't eat pine thinner. Don't eat
oh
Yellowstone. Jack Frost. Ha!
yes. Yeah, Thinner, another Stephen King tale. And let's see. So as for this movie, so right after Alice's death, they skip forward 5 years in the Camp Crystal Lake area, where a whole bunch of teens and camp counselor are becoming camp counselors. They go to this newly opened camp counselor training center. I doubt that's even an actual thing in real life, but
Yeah,
yeah. So yeah, it's being run by a man named Paul and his and his assistant slash girlfriend Ginny, who is played by Amy Steele, who we have talked about before in April Fool's Day, which we had covered about a month ago.
that's right. That's right. You know what? I'm actually trying to look for that picture right now. When we didn't you meet her, Don? I can't remember when we went to flashback weekend. Were you there for that one?
I think so. That was like ages ago.
That was over 10 years ago. And right now I'm trying to look for those pictures. So fortunately for both me and Don, we had the honor of meeting them in person. I just got to find out where they are. I know I have them somewhere on Facebook.
Let's see. Oh, here, Tom. Hey guys, sorry I'm not there. I'm totally exhausted today, finding it hard to keep my eyes open. Oh, hey, believe me, I've had days like that myself, Tom. So hey, don't worry, you're good. Hey, there's always if you can't be
Always
on
next
tonight,
week.
yep, if you can't be on tonight, there's always next week, man. So yeah, just if you're tired, get some rest, man. Yeah, and let's see.
I
Hey,
was gonna say
Nikki.
you handle the comments
Yeah,
while I'm looking for those pictures.
wait, Kathleen Knight or Sweeney Todd? Oh yeah, Sweeney Todd. That's another great movie.
Yeah. Oh,
Another
you know
great
what? You know what
another.
Nikki's referring to? Kathleen Knight is I don't. It's not the name of an actress. It's actually the name of a real life serial killer in Australia.
It's
It,
true,
it very very brutal killing.
man. And yeah, that's right. I remember researching that a while back. Let's see. Sweet Todd. Yeah, it's another great collaboration between Tim Burton and Johnny Depp. Yeah.
Oh, well, see, this is what's going on with Tom. The park is wearing me out this week. Hey, Tom, no big
Oh,
deal. You can always come on next week with us. Uh, get plenty of rest. Hey, Jeff from the Goat is here. Good to see you, Goat.
hey Jeff.
Doing just great.
Yeah, doing great. Yeah,
Oh, this. Sorry, Don. Go ahead.
we're just continuing on with the Friday the 13th franchise.
Oh, okay. Yes, and I was going to get back quickly to what Brad said because he asked me about the pictures. He sent these. It's actually really interesting of what he sent me the other day. It was these I wouldn't say props. Here we go. He created like through his 3D printing machine. He created like a new Roman sword and dagger. Really impressive stuff. So yes, I did get those pictures. I definitely like them. So, but yes, Brad, you have a great night. Uh, continue sending them to me. I love what you got. What do you do with them?
Oh yeah, Roman swords. Oh, impressive.
Yeah, Roman swords. He created those. And this is something for you, Don. Just so you know, Jeremy just wrote this.
Likely Greg is going to show. Oh, okay.
Okay,
Thanks for letting us know.
Yeah, we got unlike that means we probably have. And Brad sent them to you, Don,
Oh,
so you can
here,
check them out yourself.
where's my phone? Oh, here it is. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll check that out a little later on. Yes. Yeah, I'm very interested in your work. You know, I've seen pictures online about I believe I've seen pictures on your page of what you do with a 3D printer. It's nice work.
Well, and he said, I think at some point he said that he was gonna possibly make some stuff. I thought a long time ago he said he was gonna make something for you. I think because he's actually made a couple things for me. So I thought he might have. I could be wrong, but I know he said he was gonna make something for you eventually.
A lightsaber.
A light. Yeah, that's what it was. A lightsaber. Yes. I forgot about that.
Oh, he's mentioning it right here.
Yep, still making a lightsaber for you. So that's still under the process. And check this out. He also says he has a Jason X mask he still wants to print, but he still needs the silver filaments.
Oh yes, yeah.
Now, that is going to look really cool when that's done.
That's gonna be awesome. Let's see. Oh, here.
Sorry, I was trying to get to that comment too.
Here, Sarah was saying, did they say anything about the zombie aspect of Jason? I think as far as Jason coming back from the dead, I think that was more explored, like and with like after part 4, like especially in like part 6, Jason Lives, where I argue that he doesn't really fit to the characteristics of a zombie. He seems to behave more like a revenant because in from those films forward, because revenants, they like the difference is that zombies, they come back to to feed on the living, spread a virus, but a revenant comes back with purpose. Like they have like a goal in mind. Like,
and they still got their mentality. They still have their consciousness as they were when they were alive.
Yep, exactly. And but before that, Jason was like but still had some superhuman like aspects to him, like in terms of endurance and strength.
Right,
But,
right.
Basically, but being struck by lightning in part 6 boosted that, into maximum overdrive. He became much stronger and more powerful than before. But but as for this film, Jason, the way he's depicted in this, like he still has like his deformity on his head, which he uses a mask to hide. That's primarily why he wears masks throughout the franchise. And even though the most iconic aspect about Jason is wearing a hockey mask, he did not wear a hockey mask until part 3. In this film, he actually wears a burlap sack with an eye hole cut out. I have that picture. I'm going to share it right now. Hang on.
I thought it was a pillowcase.
It looked a little bit more like a burlap sack. Well, you guys be the judge. Hang on.
Because for years I always thought it was a pillowcase.
Here.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. See, that's what I thought. I thought it was okay. So Jeremy, yeah, he's saying a burlap sack. I always kept thinking. I mean, maybe it is, but I just always thought it was a pillowcase for many years. The Phantom Killer.
Yeah, Phantom Killer.
Wasn't there a real serial killer that went by that name, the Phantom Killer?
Might have been.
See, now Brad Singh looks like a pillowcase.
Yeah, I can see why some people would think that. That's and also fun fact: the actor who had to wear that, it was not a fun experience for him because he kept having like the rug burns around his eye areas. Because he was wearing that mask for like hours and hours at a time, and they had to tape it onto him to keep it from falling off.
Oh, geez, can you imagine like how? I mean, it may not look bad, but like still how uncomfortable they had to feel like. With first off, how probably itchy it is.
Oh, yeah.
And secondly, also like how hot it probably was at times. Because you have to remember, I think they were filming it during the summer, if I'm correct. So it had to have been hot and humid. So, and it probably at times must have been hard when they're taping that. It's probably also got to be hard. Yep. See, Clark just took the words out of my mouth. Probably he had breathing problems. It must have been hard breathing that in because burlap sacks are usually heavy bags.
Oh yeah, they're pretty thick, and like the fabric that they use on them are probably not good against the skin. So,
especially the eyes, it probably makes causes a lot of irritation and itchiness.
Oh yes, and let's see, the actor who played Jason, primarily he's credited as Warrington Gillette, and I believe he was about 21 years old at the time the movie was being made.
He was 21.
Yeah, I looked it up like years ago. His date of birth, the year he was born was 1960. This was 1981.
Wow. See, like when you see what he actually looked like, I honestly thought he was older. I did not think that he was like quite a youngster in that movie. I honestly, in my opinion, I thought he was like in his like late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah, well, that's what makeup effects does in movies. Makes them look not like the way they actually are. What?
And I was gonna say, I just looked it up myself, like saying because like what Clark said about the Phantom Killer, there was a real life serial killer by that name called the Phantom Killer,
Oh,
and that, however, this was long story short, it was a series of 4 unsolved serial murders that and related violent crimes committed in and around the Texarkana, like in Arkansas, pretty much in the pretty much the Arkansas Texas border.
Texarkana.
However, Texarkana, yeah. And but this occurred much earlier. That was back in 1946. However, that is the Phantom Killer, who's also known as the Texarkana Moonlight Murders. No one, unfortunately, he was among one of those serial killers who was never caught, was never really seen. However,
Yeah.
there was one witness who suspected it might have been the killer, and this is where kind of they might have gotten the idea of putting the burlap sack for Jason for as a mask for Jason. They probably might have gotten this. Was one of the few witnesses claimed he saw a man wearing either a pillowcase or some type of burlap sack over his head.
Oh,
So they might have gotten that from the real life serial killer.
could be. That could be.
And that too, if in case if you didn't know, they actually did make a movie about it itself on its own, which was called made back in the 70s called The Town That Dreaded Sundown. It's actually made by Charles B. Pierce.
Yeah.
So there's also a movie made based on it, and it uses almost an identical character that probably became the inspiration for Jason in part 2.
Could have been. Yeah. Maybe this is just so if this burlap sack was inspired by that real life event, just another prime example of art imitating life.
Yeah, believe it or not, there might actually be some basis to like how he looks, and also in case you want to know, quick trivia fact: Charles B. Pierce, who directed The Town That Dreaded Sundown, he is the same narrator just a few years earlier in the same area made the documentary film The Legend of Boggy Creek based on the Falk Monster.
Oh,
and the narrator is the same narrator from that. So it's like the same crew for this movie.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that film, but I did see the sequel that came after that, which was featured on Mystery Science Theater 3000.
I heard that one was bad, but surprisingly, someone who's done so much stuff on cryptids, I have not seen The Legend of Boggy Creek, and I really need to see it. I know it's kind of both a movie and documentary, but I heard it's really well done. I really want to see it. What's up, Liam?
How's it going, man? Yeah, we're doing well. Just covering another Friday the 13th film. Oh, and also, look, check out what I'm wearing again.
Of course.
had to dress in the proper attire.
I'm also making a 3-foot by 3-foot Stargate. Wow.
Oh, Stargate.
Check it out.
Nice.
Let's see where you would think pillowcase. It does look like one. Yeah, see, that's why I kept thinking it was a pillowcase over his head.
Yeah, turns out it was a burlap sack. And, think about it, I actually do feel bad for the actor and the stuntmen who had to wear that for hours at a time. Like breathing problems, and the only way they were able to see was through that eye hole that was cut out. And like I said before, the rug burns around the eye areas.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, you got a compliment here about your shirt, Don.
Oh, thanks, Leon.
No, go ahead. You go ahead first, then I'll say what
I was about to say. I got this shirt just for this podcast.
Oh, so it's brand new.
Yes.
That's awesome. Brad just sent me, I'm going to share the screen for a sec. He was talking about the mask that he's trying to make.
Okay.
He sent me an image of what it's, if I'm correct, what it's going to look like in the end. So I'm going to show you very quickly. So check it out.
All right, let's see it.
You got
nice.
Cool.
And he's doing that through a 3D printer?
I believe so.
That's awesome.
I believe so. Now that's something Jeremy would love, because I I know not too many people are crazy about Jason X, but I know he's a big fan of that one. So that's something Jeremy's going to love when that's made. You would
Yep.
rock that burlap sack.
Yeah, like probably easier said than done, Jeremy. Like if it's like as bad as the actors who were paid to do that for hours at a time, if it's as bad as they say, then I'm not sure if trying it is a good idea.
Yep. See, he said X is his favorite.
Nice.
Clark just made a good. How about do a FearFans about serial killers?
Well, I don't know. Like FearFans, we mainly just focus on the movies. I mean, we could do movies that are about serial killers. Yeah, we could focus on that.
Well, Clark, in case actually it's worth bringing up, even though we don't really talk about it very often, unless it's like a movie we're talking about on this network, I also do another show where we do talk about serial killers. It's called To the Grave and Back, and we do that on Thursday. I'm not sure which area you're at, but we do that at on Thursday afternoons at 3 p.m. Central. So that's more of the serial killer show. Don's not part of that one, but I am.
Oh yeah, yeah, Nick, I'm willing to join that one. If you want somewhere down the road, I would like to. I've some knowledge of real life killers.
Yeah, we can have you on.
Yeah,
we can definitely have you on.
I've had to study that for some killers for a Chicago history class in high school.
Are you available like at 3 o'clock on Thursdays?
That's around the time I get home from work. If I join, it would probably have to be a little bit later on.
That's fine. I mean, you don't have to be there. I mean, yes, we start on time, but there's also been times when we've kind of been late ourselves. So it's no big deal. If you want to come on later, you can definitely do that. But yeah, we'll have you on at some point.
Yeah.
Wait, he got paid? I do it for free and chase people around Waverly.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. I can kind of see that actually. Him chasing people around Waverly Hills.
Oh man.
By the way, just so you know, Nikki might be coming on for a couple minutes. Because she wanted to say a couple things. Actually, ironically enough, something involving serial killers. So she's gonna. Oh, actually,
speaking of which,
here she is.
Hey,
Nikki. I was just about to say you were going to be coming on shortly.
Peekaboo. My ears were ringing.
So Sarah just said Jeremy will have his own movie eventually.
Because we were just talking about Jason, the way he was in Friday the 13th Part 2, having to wear that burlap sack, and the actors were not too happy about getting all that rug burn around their eyes because the fabric rubbing against them. Yeah, but Jeremy is saying that he'd be willing to do it.
That's his hope, he says.
Okay, now, go for it, Jeremy.
Now, Sarah just asked a good question here. As far as killers go, do you think Jason is the most effective killer?
He is among the most effective killers as far as history, movie history, because he's developed, he's shown persistence, you'd have to see to believe, and also like his endurance. He would be able to take just about almost any injury you throw at him, especially after, like I said, after he was brought back again in Part 6 when he became powerful on a supernatural level, like taking gunshot injuries, being stabbed, being taking falls, being set on fire, a long list of other things.
Yep.
So
okay, Clark lives in Smallville, Kansas. He was telling me because again of the time zone. Is that central? I'm not sure.
It's a Superman reference.
Oh, I thought that's actually okay. I thought he actually lived in it makes me wait, isn't there a real town though? That's the real question.
Yeah. Well, I figured because Smallville, Kansas, and also Clark Kent, Superman's alter ego. So
I mean, I'm not sure if it's again. I can't remember if it's Central Standard Time out in Kansas or not. Jeremy the Bagman.
Still waiting for the penis. Oh,
talking about Charlie Brown and that whatnot.
Like I said, they're trying to find ways to destroy our childhoods by turning beloved characters into horror villains. They already did that with the Grinch this past year and Winnie the Pooh, and now they're going to do so with Wizard of Oz. Yeah, and
Are
now
you
they're doing
serious?
and now they're doing it with and now they're just doing it with Wizard of Oz.
Oh my god, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, one of the most.
I'm gonna have a night.
And Jeremy also, I forgot to mention, Jeremy already had a name for this version of Peanuts, the Blockhead Murders.
Yeah, one of the most cherished films in history, and they're gonna ruin it for us.
Unfortunately, yes. Charlie Brown working. Well, you know what? I actually have, and this is a Friday the 13th reference. I showed this just on another show the other day. Let me help you out with that, Clark, because they kind of did something like that. I'm not even joking. So Jeremy will know what I'm talking about.
I'm just trying to get connections. As you can see.
Yeah, take your time.
Oh, Billy, hey, hope you're not late for the party.
Hey, Billy.
Yeah, hey Billy, we did talk a little bit, but it's okay. We got a lot more to cover. So, who's ruining what? Oh, I was about to say the horror film industry. They might be ruining Wizard of Oz for us because they're making a horror themed Wizard of Oz movie.
Yeah.
They already. And I was just telling them they already did that over the past year with both the Grinch and Winnie the Pooh. So, yeah. Oh,
so I'm going to show something Hey, Lauren, great to see you. I'm going to show something very quickly. Again, this is still a reference to Jason, but also again of what Clark had mentioned about Charlie Brown working together with Jason. So Don, obviously, you know all too well, obviously, my scary stories, like illustrations that I've discovered, right?
Yep.
All right. So apparently, one of those illustrators actually made this for a book. Unfortunately, it's no longer available, but I got a picture of it though. Check this out.
Oh.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Tales from
That's awesome.
It's awesome. I have to admit. So there you go, Clark. That's the closest you can see between the two working together. They become one.
Oh man. They merged into one.
That's right. Oh, I think we just lost Sniggy. It's because of her connection.
No. Her connection went out. Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. See, here. She's coming back. Oh. Let's try that again.
We could both speak at the same time.
Oh.
Yep. We see you.
Yep. Oh, here, Billy's saying Don had a pretty bad day today. Maybe this podcast will cheer me up. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do what we can, man. We'll do our best.
We'll try to.
Yeah. But yeah. So So Nikki, you when did you first see Friday 13th Part 2?
Oh God. Very, very, very long time ago.
That's okay.
I think in 2017-ish. Yeah, it's been quite a long time.
I gotcha. Yeah, well, this film does mark the debut of Jason becoming the killer, basically continuing his mother's mission. And yeah, he's and he proves right off the bat he's merciless towards anybody who comes to Crystal Lake.
Yeah. See, now Billy just had a question here for us. I really want to ask about the Wizard of Oz. How would a Wizard of Oz adaptation work in modern times via the 2020s?
Hard to say because
CGI involved. I know that there would be so much CGI,
undoubtedly,
and green screen effects too.
Yeah, well, they did plenty of that for Oz the Great and Powerful.
They did.
Remember that? Yeah, it's been 10 years since that came out now. Jeez.
Can't believe it. Time's gone by so quickly.
I know.
Wow.
Just make Nick laugh. That makes other people laugh.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Was that Billy? Yeah, there you go. There's your advice, Billy.
Transplant horror? What?
I'm not sure what Sarah means by that.
Story takes place in modern times. In modern times, actually not how it's made.
Oh, he's talking about, okay, so like if it took place in 2023, that's what he means.
Oh yeah, I get you. Yeah, if it took place, they would go like crazy with the CGI if they actually made that today. Yep. And I will say this: they as far as doing sequels or remakes of Wizard of Oz, they've done sequels, but haven't had the same impact as the original. Yeah,
Right,
obviously.
right.
Wait,
So
search for brain heart.
That's okay. That's what she means. All right.
Okay, yeah, I did hear about this one horror film where somebody had where a girl had like what do they call those? Where implants on your hair? What extensions? Hair extensions that kill? Yeah.
They actually
anything-
made something like that.
Yeah, I guess
What
Hollywood
the-
is. I'm guessing Hollywood is running low on ideas.
Isn't that kind of like not necessary, but kind of like an old wives' tale, like like they're like importing like implants for the like by the government or something?
Yeah. Well, Nikki, you'd be amazed at what hear about what we Americans can sometimes come up with.
Yeah.
Oh man, there was a.
Was it? Wait, what?
Oh, I've just got an image of the hairdresser. Wah!
Yeah.
Oh, here. Now, this is how you know they're running out of ideas. A Tom and Jerry Wizard of Oz movie.
Oh God, are you kidding me?
They did. They also did one for Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
I'm just gonna say for anyone who was in that movie, I'm sorry.
Yes. Our sincerest condolences to all of you.
Well, wait, what do we got here?
Is Wizard? I'm not sure.
Oh,
I don't know anything.
sorry.
Honestly, this is the first time I'm hearing about it, so I have no clue.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
But yeah. So wanted to get back to
Okay.
the movie. Well, and we got mentioned last week that the actress who played Alice, Adrienne King, she had to step down from her acting career because of a stalker that had was like a obsessive fan of hers, had been leaving Polaroids of her like throughout the day, and had at one point broken into her apartment. But I actually found out. Yeah, I know. And I actually found out after doing some more research, the guy actually got caught. So I'm just thankful for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the worst part of it is that when it comes to such issues like that, especially like for well-known actors and actresses who had such a memorable role for a movie, even if they're able to catch one stalker, that's not to say that you're entirely safe, because someone else could probably do the same thing.
Yeah. Out of one horror movie into another, into a real life horror movie for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just sad knowing that they killed her character. Like they killed off her character because of that. So Alice, the Alice character died, and so did Adrienne King's career along with it.
Right.
But she did return to acting at some point. But it was like decades later.
Is Adrienne King still acting? Is that?
She did return to acting like in recent years. So, yeah, but as far as I know, she is doing better. So,
okay,
I'm just glad. I'm just thankful for that.
Yeah,
yeah. So, wanted to go back to the more parts about the movie. That let's see. So, second film takes place 5 years after the events from the first, and Camp Crystal Lake, where the murders took place, was condemned at that point. But the movie takes place on another part of Crystal Lake at a camp counselor training center where they had a whole bunch of newcomers, like going back to like a 2-week training course to get prepared for an actual camp. One thing I noticed or like rewatching it, there were actually like 6 extra people that were like basically background characters, like the counselors. Yeah, and they had very little to no speaking dialogue. Yeah, they were just there just to like fill in, just so to have more characters.
I mean, it's typical for such movies to have those background characters where they're not really there to speak at all. I mean, if you look at someone like, as one example is like the show like Walking Dead. If you look at someone like, and we brought it up before last week, Santiago, he was a background character. He didn't really have like really a major role. I don't even really remember if he even spoke himself, but understandably, it's typically, common to see that in such movies like that.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's here. Nikki, would you compare Jason's relationship with his mother similar to Norman Bates and his mother? That is a good question.
Yes.
Yeah, there are a few similarities. I can kind of see that. Yeah, but yeah, both mother and son were insane, and
Yeah.
but the mother was like incapable of coping with loss, and just just took her rage out on the people she felt was responsible.
Mhm.
And so, but Jason does it more out of revenge because they actually, because they killed his mother and doesn't want, took out Alice after that, shortly after that, like 2 months later, and then just wants to keep the camera from opening by just killing anybody who comes there.
Well, and there's also another difference too, compared to, in this case, Norman Bates and his mother, and Jason and his mother, was that his mother was like in Psycho. His mother was crazy and was quite abusive and pretty bad towards Norman. But in the case with Jason, it seemed like this was in the original. It was basically a mother who loved her son so much that she was willing to murder for him.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, they were. Yeah, like she had like a more. Like she had maternal, like Norma Bates. She had a maternal instinct, but she was like more caring towards her son.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, here. Billy is right about this. Norman Bates and Leatherface were inspired by Ed Gein. Yes. Them along with Buffalo Bill, and he actually did mention that.
He just mentioned that. You know what? I was just watching a show about Ed Gein just a few days ago on Investigation Discovery.
Oh yes, I watched I watched a couple of those as well, and also my grandpa Chuck.
I'm still there. Sorry, connection's really.
Yeah, take your time, Nikki.
You're fine. Yeah, my grandpa Chuck, he actually does remember the news stories about like at the time when Ed Gein was captured, and he was following up on it back in the day, and I asked him about it. He was explaining that to me, and he said, and I quote, Ed Gein was a sick man who was all sorts of messed up in the head.
Yeah, he was somebody who was kind of very well trusted in the community. So, and I mean, yes, we understood he kind of had a bad side to him, but at the same time, though, it's just he did things that he would no person would ever think of, especially when it's because here's the thing, just quick trivia fact. Mm-hmm. Everybody always claims that Ed Gein is a serial killer, when in reality, he was only ever charged really with ever 2 murders. The rest of the corpses and stuff was all the results of grave robbing. Sarah, I don't think that wasn't Ed Gein. That was John Wayne Gacy. He dressed as a clown. That was John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah, John Wayne Gacy, and like my childhood neighborhood wasn't too far from where that took place. That's what's scary about it.
Well, you know what's really creepy is that we didn't get to go inside, but we actually visited his house a couple of years ago. And everybody always thinks that after when he was caught, yes, they indeed did demolish the house that he lived in, and people thought it was a parking lot. No, there's another house over the old one, and this was done about like 25 years ago. So it's inhabited. Again, it's another one of those places where I wonder, like, geez, I wonder how much activity they're probably getting in that house, because it's got to be unsettling to actually live on the grounds where that all occurred.
Yeah, I bet there's like a bad atmosphere to it when you go inside.
It was when we pulled up because, like I said, because again it's a residential property, we couldn't go inside, understandably.
Right.
This was back in 2017 that we went, and make a long story short, we pulled up onto the side of the road, and just the house, by the way, like whoever lives there, the house was completely dark. Like either nobody was home or they just probably called it a night. It was just such. I got a really eerie feeling just being in front of the house of where it all occurred. It felt almost electric in a way.
Man.
So it's you don't really feel, you don't, it's an unusual feeling when you come across basically an area where a serial killer had lived.
Yeah, that's and yeah, I never even went by that house. I mean, it wasn't.
Nick,
I mean,
is
that
that
place.
the house you're talking about to me about?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Nikki?
I think her connection's kind of going out.
Oh no.
Sorry, Nikki, you froze there for a second. What were you saying?
I do pay bills, just to let you know.
Oh, okay.
Talking about me the other day that you went to investigate.
Oh yeah. I remember. Yeah, like we brought up a few days ago on the when we were chatting. So
Yeah.
Clark makes a good point here. When you visit a serial killer's house, you feel haunted. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, like yeah, I never visited that house, but it's just creepy that house was actually close by to the neighborhood I grew up in. So
yeah, of course. Yeah, I've been there, of course, understandably, because it's a residential property. I'm not going to mention exactly where it's at, but actually being where it's located, though, it's unsettling. And ironically enough, I don't know if you guys have ever seen that show called Evil Lives Here. It's a show that's been running for last number of years. It's a crime show, in other words, but they did an episode where they interviewed John Wayne Gacy's sister, and it I mean, it did cut out a lot of details because understandably it was only meant to be like an hour show, but it really explained the life of what, from his sister's point of view, what John Wayne Gacy was like growing up until the point he became a serial killer. Oh, Clark said he's seen it, so he knows exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. Oh. Billy asked this earlier. Oh, Lauren has too. Okay, see, they know exactly what I'm talking about then. Yeah. Billy asked a question earlier. He's asked this again. Speaking of stalkers, have you heard about Rebecca Schaefer?
Rebecca Schaefer. Why does that name sound familiar?
I'm trying. I thought I've heard that name before. Where is that a actress or?
Hang on.
Who is that?
Rebecca Schaefer.
Oh, Google.
But yeah, she was an actress and model.
Died in 1989.
Oh my God!
Oh yeah, she was murdered. Yeah, now I know why I've heard of this name before. She was murdered back in 1989.
What?
She was only 21 years old. She was shot and killed by Robert John Bardo, a 19-year-old obsessed fan who had been stalking her.
Yeah.
Schaefer's death helped to lead to the passage. This was down in California, so it helped to lead to the passage in California of legislation aimed at preventing stalking.
Yep. Let's see, but yeah, Billy John Wayne Gacy was actually named. He was actually named after the actor John Wayne.
Right.
So that's why it's the similarity. But yeah, so yeah, stalking and that happens a whole lot with Jason and the counselors and throughout these movies, because like in the first movie, there are moments where the killer is stalking the counselors through POV shots, like wanting to withhold what Jason looks like in this, and they actually do a fairly good job at that. Like building up that kind of suspense.
Right. Sarah has a question here. How do you differentiate between creeped out by notoriety and actual energy? Did people who didn't know the history of the location feel creeped out? If she's talking about John Wayne Gacy's house, I'm not entirely sure. That's a question I ask myself too. Is that do they ever get any type of negative feeling at a location like that, especially for its notoriety, or are they well aware of anyone ever told them saying, where you guys are living, right? Like this whole mass murder, like this. There's like a whole mass grave that once existed below the property.
Yep.
So
here. Like the first one, we never see the killer until the end. Yeah, that is true. Like the big reveal, like of who's behind all this. Like like there was actually one point where people actually thought that Crazy Ralph was behind, but that would have been too obvious. That's why they threw the in for that loop. But then it shows Crazy Ralph just spouting about Camp Crystal Lake is cursed. But then again, people don't listen to him. But even though he was right, and then they actually killed him off in this movie. He was on the campgrounds that he was warning people about. It's like, if you're concerned about people being on campgrounds, then maybe you shouldn't be there either, Crazy Ralph.
Yeah, exactly. And Billy makes a good point of something else that became a natural element in a lot of the other slasher films, because either we never saw them, or the only time we did see them is if they're wearing, like in the case with Jason, if they're wearing a mask, and we just never find out who it is until the very end.
Yeah, that's right. And so, yeah, like Crazy Ralph got offed, like he was Jason's second victim. Like Jason came up behind him, like strangled him with barbed wire, like around it. Oh,
Yeah.
that was pretty brutal.
Yeah, the guy was trying to warn everybody. He ends up getting killed himself.
Yep. But again, if you're scared, if you don't want people on those grounds, then you shouldn't be there easy, Crazy Ralph. So he learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
And let's see. What else? There were a bunch of new characters in this. Let's see. Two of them were Jeff and Sandra. They were among the first that were introduced. And yeah, they decided they want to go visit the Camp Crystal Lake grounds, even though they were warned not to. And yeah, they also came across the mangled remains of what looked like a dog. Movie makes you think it's that character. What was her name? No, it wasn't Vicky. It was Terry. Terry. She brought a dog named Muffin to their training center, and yeah, like the whole movie, throughout the movie, they make you think that Muffin was dead, but turns out that wasn't true. Yeah, that was like a reveal in the ending. But anyway, so yeah, and also I should mention the actress who played Sandra. I wrote down her name. What was it? Oh yeah, Marta Kober. She actually it was discovered that she actually lied about her age to get in that film. She was only like 16 or 17 at the time, which was an issue because there was supposed to be a love scene between Jeff and Sandra.
Oh, wow.
And so they had to cut out the parts where she appeared topless because if she was underage, she was underage. They can't do that,
And thank goodness they did cut it out.
Oh yeah, I mean that movie would have been pulled if they had found out right after completing it. That movie would have been pulled from theaters, taken off the store shelves. Oh man, yeah, that would have been a real mess for Paramount Pictures. Yeah, but I will say this, Nick. There was actually the only instance that I do know of where lying about an age to get into a project worked out for the better was Mila Kunis when she lied
I knew
about.
you were going to bring that up.
Yep. When she was in that 70s show. She was 14, but she said she was going to turn 18, but she didn't say how many years.
Right.
Yeah.
But they still kept her in because she did so well in the show.
Exactly. Yes. Wouldn't be the same without her. But anyway, yeah, like I personally discourage like newcomers from lying about their age to get into a film or a show because that's really not something you should do, especially now because they'll easily catch you. Like it's easy to catch on to that
in this day and age. Yes.
Yeah. And, Hollywood does not play around with that. They're real serious when it comes to people who need to be a certain age to do certain roles. Especially when you think back to things that have very explicit content like Game of Thrones or let's see, yeah, that's one of the main ones I can think of. Game of Thrones. Love that show, by the way.
Nikki, I got your. She said I got your link. By the way, It's another serial killer that she just sent me. I'll have to look that one up.
Man. Yeah, but let's see. Oh, I did want to mention who directed this. I forgot to mention. Yeah, the previous film, Sean S. Cunningham was the director, but this time for the second and third film, it was Steve Miner. He this I think was among the first directing jobs that he had, and he's known for making some fairly decent horror films throughout his career. After Friday the 13th Part 3, he has directed House. Remember that one, Nick, with William Catt?
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, I saw that live. That was like ages ago last time I saw it. But let's see. He also, during the 90s, he has directed Halloween H2O and Lake Placid.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Check that out.
Yeah, Lake Placid, I believe that was like the first R-rated movie I've seen. And I remember when that came out when I was little back in the late 90s. I remember going to a theater, seeing a large poster all across showing that crocodile.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Because they look at your file as soon as you enter the film industry. I think he's referring to again the stalkers, I guess, again, or
No. For newcomers who,
Yeah.
Oh, newcomers. I'm sorry. Yeah.
to prevent them from lying about their age. Like they'll look at your fire as soon as you enter the film industry. That's right.
Well, Sarah makes here another point saying they learned their lesson from Linda Blair on The Exorcist. But the thing was, though, they were intentionally looking for the difference was they were intentionally looking for a child actor, to do that role. So it's different if they're intentionally looking for someone like that. Of course, provided that they didn't do anything that's not appropriate for their age, comparing someone who completely lied about their age.
Yeah, that's right. And let's see. There were other characters in that film. That one that I was confused about was this character named Mark, who was in a wheelchair, saying that he was in training for something, but he never says for what.
Well, it's what was it that he said at some point? It was something that he claimed that he could never walk again, but he said he hadn't given up on it.
Yeah, I do admire the guy's spirit.
Yeah,
and because that's being a wheelchair, it's not it's not never an easy thing to deal with. It's definitely not an easy thing to cope with, because that just makes me hopeful that one day they'll be able to find advancements in treatment as far as spinal injuries and whatnot. Because
well, if you guys didn't know, they actually are starting to come up with something like that. Because I remember seeing this a few years ago. If you guys didn't, and Nikki, correct me, I'm not sure if they have this available in Australia yet, but they developed a new device for people who had strokes or something, or are paralyzed, and it's like a type of device where they plug it into the back of their neck, where their spine is, and when they plug it in, or however they put it into their system, it actually allows them to freely move. It almost kind of, not permanently, but kind of temporarily cures their paralysis. They're actually able to move around and walk and do it just about anything they want to do, provided that this device or whatever it is operating correctly. Now, understandably, just like anything else, yes, it does. They do have to take it off after a certain amount of time, because like a phone or something, it does have to recharge. But they're developing new devices, right? There's some new device that I think they're still testing it out to make sure before they become publicly available. It shocks neural pathways like that. It from what I've seen, it's really been helping out a lot of people who have suffered paralysis or aren't able to walk anymore. So they're working on they're testing it, but there is something coming in the very near future, which again may not be permanently, but can kind of temporarily cure paralysis, if you will.
Yes, it does seem like a major medical breakthrough.
Yeah, so and you know what? I'm just going to say this very quickly. Nikki and I, we were just talking. Yeah, well, and Nikki, obviously, we were just talking about this last night. Nikki didn't know about, for example, Jeremy's accident. So, I told her about what happened. And, I said, you definitely have to cherish of where we are in this day and age with what we got. Again, we definitely should be giving a lot of praise to a lot of our surgeons and doctors and hospital staff of what they've developed so far, because what we had 100 years ago was very limited, and things that was considered impossible, what would have been considered impossible at that time, now it finally is possible. So there's a lot of stuff. It's always nice to know that they're always coming up with something new to basically cure us from certain, not just diseases, but other physical type of disabilities, if you want to put it. That's the best way I can describe it.
Right. Yeah, they just have to find where, and also have to make advancements in treating cancer, because there are certain ones out there that are tough.
You can grow ears on back of rats now, or
I believe she's referring to the process of cloning. Cloning organs and cloning body parts.
That's new.
Yeah.
Exoskeleton.
Exoskeleton. Oh, you want to be Wolverine, huh?
Oh, see what Jeremy I'm actually kind of glad this did happen in certain perspective, and I know exactly what he's talking about. So, yeah.
Oh wait, no, sorry, not an exoskeleton. He had an adamantium skeleton. Oh, yeah.
Yes, Jeremy, I did see the message. To make a long story short, I'm supposed to have not tonight, but sometime the next few days. Jeremy and I were supposed to have a meeting with Joe. He's talking about something about wanting to put either it was like some type. I think it was a new show he was going to put together. So I'm going to be chatting. So the next couple of days, I'm supposed to be chatting with both Joe and Jeremy in a meeting.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah, Sarah, I meant stem cells. Yeah, you're right, not cloning. I meant stem cells.
Yeah, that's what I figure. I think she meant stem cells. Now, Lauren here makes a good point here. My father was born in 1933, and at 6 weeks old, he got polio, lost the use of both legs and arms. He went through a lot of tests and different treatment. After many years, he was able to get the use of both arms and one leg back. He went through the rest of his life with a brace on his leg to help him walk.
Oh, sounds like he's it's been a tough road for him, but at least he was able to, do something with his limbs like later on in life. That's something to be thankful for. He was able to make progress.
Definitely. Oh, and speaking of Joe, here he is right now. Hey, Joe.
Hey, good to see you.
I was just talking about you.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah. And let's see.
Ears ringing.
One of the things I wanted to get into here, that we were saying earlier how Jason had been survived the drowning and has been living out in the forest around Crystal Lake when when police and nobody searched for him on ground because they thought he was in the water. But there was I just wanted to show on here where he here. I wanted to show on here where he had been living all this time.
Yeah, it was like some kind of abandoned house of some sort, right? Yeah.
Wasn't a shack. I believe this is something he assembled himself.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of like a abandoned shack of some sort.
Yeah, we come across this first when the cop who caught Jeff when the cop had caught Jeff and Sandra looking around there, he sees someone else going in there, and turns out that person was Jason. Because you briefly see him like the burlap sack and everything, chases him through there, but then comes across this.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What I like too, by the way, about like when you first see Jason, not necessarily, but like when you don't really see him other than when you see him running across the road, is and they did this, of course, also in the original film, was that I liked how they just showed the legs of Jason, like basically making it very hard to identify, who exactly this could be. But I think also this is just my personal opinion, but whenever they show just simply like from the waist down, just the legs of like one of these killers, I think it actually makes it more creepier because especially if they're wearing like long black pants or jeans, it just gives like a menacing, almost intimidating look with, again, the dark black pants and just the way how they walk and whatever. Exactly that this is definitely a killer on the loose. Of course, you just don't know who exactly it is.
Oh yeah. So if he did assemble this himself, he looks like he used parts from other buildings. So they did mention that Jason had been stealing what he needed to survive. So he had to have left woods at some point. Maybe there's a scrapyard nearby that or something. That's what I'm wondering.
Because it looks like it's all comprised of used materials and pretty much garbage material.
And he.
Yeah. Oh, her connection is
again.
Her? It's no. She'll be back on.
Okay. Don, do you have any comments about
back.
Yep, we hear you. There we go. Now you're back.
Just playing pig.
Oh, here. Sarah said if I have any comments about the cinematography.
Peekaboo! I see you. Hey guys.
So Sarah asks Don, do you have any comments about the cinematography? I think the film had some fairly decent cinematography. I enjoyed the I'm sorry.
I think her connection is a little bit delayed, so that's why she's kind of speaking over it. But it's again, it's the connection.
Oh, I see. I gotcha. But this film had some fairly decent. What?
You're good. You're good, Nikki. You're good.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I think the film had some fairly decent cinematography. For one thing, I like the camera work, and I love the POV shots of Jason when he's like, showing his point of view, like looking at counselors, like when he's stalking, and also the music on top of that. Like that was chilling. Oh, speaking of music, like I have his name listed here. Harry Manfredini returned to do the music for this as well from the original. Yeah, he also was known for creating that Jason's stalking sound effect. That
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Joe just made this comment saying, "Looks like the forts we build as kids in the woods out of spare parts out of abandoned buildings."
Nice. Yeah, and so let's see. Oh yeah, reminds me of
About Hooverville. I think what Sarah's referring as, like from up. Yep. See, we just lost her. She'll be back on though. I know that. So I think what Sarah's referring to is like the Hoovervilles that were made like during the Depression era, like when people had no choice but to like build their own because obviously, as we all know too well, when it comes to the history of the Great Depression, was a lot of people lost their homes, lost their jobs, and they salvaged basically whatever they could find, and basically set up these kind of like these temporary housing units, and they became known as Hoovervilles because of that was when President Hoover was in charge of the United States, and he did not trying to get too political here, but he did not provide as much assistance, to a lot of people who were suffering in this depression. So they built these little neighborhoods that became known as Hoovervilles.
Ah, yeah, that's right.
So something like this would kind of resemble. I can see where Sarah's going with this. It kind of is resembling like that of a Hooverville house.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
the sad part was that, there was sad part about that was in reality, people did live like that at that point back in the 30s.
That's true. Yeah. Like, I think, I think my ancestors like came into this country like right around the time when the Great Depression was like nearing its end. So
right around when World War II was starting up.
Yep. So, yeah, which my grandpa Don had served in the Navy around the time when it was ending the war.
Yeah, both of my grandfathers were both in World War II, but believe it or not, my mom's side, at least my mom's parents, they were, unfortunately, not necessarily for the, not for the entire deck. Up here, she's coming back. Oh, wait, there we go. We see you now. No, I was saying it was my mom's parents. I know they were, unfortunately, for a short period, they were victims of the Depression era too. They were among like when you see pictures and film footage of like people who were like in bread and soup lines. My grandparents were among those, so they lived for the time being. Like I don't know if they lived like in a Hooverville house like that, but they were among a lot of people who suffered during the Depression. But fortunately for them, they weren't out on the streets for too long.
Let's see. Yeah, that had been rough because my great grand relatives immigrated to they're from Bari right around the time when Great Depression was ending.
Right.
And yeah, like I said, my grandpa Don joined Navy right around the time World War II was ending, and right now my grandpa Don is smiling. Know that my grandpa Don's smiling at me from up there because like I said, I'm using his chair.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and Nikki. This chair that I'm in is actually my grandpa Don's work chair. He was a freelance artist around Chicago, and he sat here painting all the greatest, painting like portraits of all the great famous sites around Chicago. He died back in 2014. But and one of the things that was left was his chair. So this is how I honor him, by doing all my creative work from the very seat where he did his creative work.
And I'm actually doing some. And where I'm sitting right now, too, in this case, the desk that I use for some of these shows is my grandfather's desk. So I'm kind of doing the same thing, too.
There you go.
Don, you've been obviously in my house so many times. You know which desk I'm referring to. Yeah, that originally belonged to my grandfather. Lauren just sent me. I saw it. Lauren, I did see your comment. She sent me this. This is actually something you guys should. I just looked at. I think you guys are going to like this. Check it out. This is also going back to not only Friday the 13th, but several other slasher movies. Check this out, guys. All right, I forgot to full screen it. There we go.
Oh, nice.
Oh wow.
That actually is really impressive. Like,
Yeah.
yes, it's like painted, I think, but that's really great designs.
Nice. And I love the Pennywise one. It's like we all float down there. Yes, we do.
It makes sense. He's on the top. He's almost near the top step.
There you go. Yep, I do that. Yeah, I always like to do that voice around when it's like Halloween time. Really creeps people out.
Well, you know what? I don't know if you guys know. Well, Nikki, I probably had said this to you before, but there actually is right now as we speak, because we're in the month of May. There actually are events called halfway to Halloween parties in haunted houses. So because we're already halfway, because technically we are halfway to the month of October, they're doing these halfway to Halloween haunted houses walkthroughs and parties and stuff like that. And believe it or not, almost 10 years ago, I actually did participate in one of those parties, and it feels out of character, especially like when it's like summer-like conditions. But in the very end, it's a lot of fun. Should have Pennywise on bottom and have a string going from pumpkin to pumpkin. All the others floating above him. Also, Lauren did the painting. Lauren, that is fantastic work.
Impressive. I do like those.
You see, when you're about 5. Oh, okay, that's totally okay. So what Jeremy's talking about was, I didn't realize it was going to be so soon, but when we end this afterwards, it turns out that meeting I'm going to be having with Jeremy and Joe, it's actually going to be right after the show. So when I get off after this, I got to talk to Jeremy and Joe then, so we can see what we're going to be chatting about.
Okay. And let's see. So continuing on with Friday the 13th, yeah, like the death scenes are like are obviously a higher body count than the original, and because more people on the campsite, more victims, and these were all pretty. A lot of these were pretty brutal, but with the exception of Terry, because she was the only one I believe who was killed off screen.
Right.
Yeah. Right after finding Scott's body, Scott, that pervert who was always after her.
Right. And that's like almost an example, by the way, that you kind of have to watch out for, kind of like with all this talk we were saying earlier about like these stalkers and whatnot.
Yeah, please be careful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. And they believe that would leave Scott was like one of the first people, I think it was the first person victim of Jason's machete, because that's one of actually Jason's his key primary weapon is the machete.
His weapon of choice.
Yep. And let's see. Another one was another brutal death was Jeff and Sandra, like in that one scene where they were together, and impaling him with that
like spear. A spear of some sort. It was like a spear, I think.
Yeah, it was that spear that that goofball Ted was using, went to prank everybody with at the campfire. And I'm thinking, so that means that Ted was using an actual spear, in that prank.
This is why you never leave this stuff out in the woods, especially at night, because somebody will take it and use it to their advantage.
Oh yeah. And fun fact: the actor who played Jeff in that scene, he had to to get the angling just right for that scene. He had to lay through a hole in the bed and have his body as a a prosthetic, like a prop or something.
Right.
Just to get the effect just right for that one scene. And let's see. Oh, another brutal one is what was his name? Mark in the wheelchair. Was going out to investigate noise. He thought it was his girlfriend Vicky, and was at the top of the stairs. Jason gets his face with that machete, falls backward, his wheelchair and all backwards down the stairs.
That was a really cool shot, with that. You know what? I remember when I was younger, when I was watching a lot of these slasher films at a young age, my brother sometimes would watch them too. And he usually would say that was the one that he would, I guess he talked most about was the guy in the wheelchair with the machete going right to his face and then falling down the stairs.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's one of the most memorable death scenes of that film. And let's see. Then there was finally Vicky, who was stabbed with that butcher knife, and And finally showing Jason his appearance, the burlap sack, which was the hardest part for the Jason actors in this film, because it was that sack, because they had to tape it to them to keep it from falling off.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Yep. This caused a lot of problems for them in terms of trouble breathing, and also the only way they were able to see was through that one eye hole. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, that couldn't have been easy.
See, just going to some of the
Occupational safety hazard.
Oh yeah, because we were talking about that earlier. Like, it had to have been very uncomfortable for the actor wearing that, and especially like it would have caused irritation around the eyes.
It did.
Yeah.
You know what? I gotta bring this up because this brings back a movie memory. Don, keep in mind, we witnessed something like that happen in a movie. You remember when we did Gordon Finn 2?
Yeah.
So,
Do tell
Nikki,
it.
if you didn't know, I might have said a while back, we actually have worked on films ourselves together in the past. So we've kind of been somewhat taking a break from it, but we're slowly but surely, hopefully going to get back into it soon. But we did a film. This was back in 2017. It was actually a sequel for another movie that was made years prior. We weren't involved in that one, but it was a film called Gordon Finn 2, which is kind of another slasher film.
Mhm.
And there was a scene. It's hilarious when I think about it. Not trying to sound weird, but there's a scene where the killer is with a prostitute, I guess. And what happens is, what happened in the scene was what the scene was supposed to be was, they're doing it in bed, and then all of a sudden the killer's girlfriend sneaks up. Yeah. The killer's girlfriend like sneaks up, and oh my god, I think I made Nikki laugh so hard.
Comes up from behind, and then
Yeah, I was about to hold on, give her a second. Poor Nikki. You okay there? I think we just made her day.
Yeah. Yeah, we made everybody who's watching this, we made everybody's day.
Yeah. See, usually it's supposed to be me laughing that hard, but now it's Nikki.
I'm good.
Okay. So, well, I was good.
Okay. I'll give it to you a minute.
Yeah, give her a second.
Okay. Whew. Yeah, we're good.
I haven't even gotten to the funniest part though, which was so the later part of the scene was the killer's girlfriend is like sneaking up on the prostitute, and she like uses like a fake knife, and she not necessarily, but she like pretends like stabs her in the back of the head. And what the actress was, she had like a capsule, like fake blood in her mouth, like to spit out. And when they shot it the first time, she spit it out, but it landed on the actor's eyes, and it stung his eyes up.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, his eyes were irritated from that. We had to do a whole reshot of that.
Yeah, I remember when that happened.
And the worst part was, it got up because we shot it we were shooting at a hotel room, and some of the fake blood got on the bed. So it's like we were literally like it was like we were kind of literally covering up like a real murder scene, because we had to like, it turns out you can use toothpaste apparently to like remove stains. Yeah. So we pulled that off, we toothpasted, and then we like flipped the entire mattress over. Like, they'll never find out.
They will. They always do.
Oh my god! I hope you tip the cleaning people. I don't know if we ever. We were just production assistants. I don't know if the director ever did.
Yeah, I was just we were just working as production assistants at the time. So like the director, the director had that was his. We figured it's director's problem, not ours.
Yeah, we were just and don't forget, we eventually also became actors in those movies, in that film too, but it was at a different location.
It was a prison scene. We were prison guards.
No, we were it was an asylum.
An asylum, yes. Yeah, we were.
That's another funny scene. Yeah. What's that? Yeah. Well, and guess what? I remember too when we shot our scenes, like when we were like the orderlies. At one point, they had to send me out to a hardware store like that was just down the street from where you remember this, right, Todd?
I was in that situation.
It was down the street, but we had to go pick something up. They sent me to go along with one of the other filmmakers, and it was raining outside when this happened. And as I'm trying to catch up to because the first guy already went to the hardware store. So I'm running down the street because it was raining, trying to catch up with them. And as I'm going by, there's cars driving by, and they're all like staring at me. They thought I was some kind of escaped mental patients, like escape from the asylum.
Yeah, I was in the same situation. I had to go out to the store too.
Yeah, I tried to look, and I came back to come get you, and they're staring at both of us now. It was. We were kind of uneasy at the time, but it was funny in the end. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun making that movie.
Yeah, good times, man. And then
we should do an episode of those movies just for the hell of it.
I just loved people like being orderlies. Yeah, like we were just shoving like patients off of the doctor.
Yeah, we were like a couple of mean guys in the movie. I mean,
it's like, hey, I'm usually a nice guy in real life, but in that role,
tough guys.
I was just like, back up, get off,
back off,
get off, you against that wall, like that.
I like it.
It's like I'm never like that to anybody in real life, but in that one scene. Yeah, it was just I just had fun being a completely different person.
Showing our bad sides on camera.
Pretty much. But yeah, so what was so yeah, let's get back to this movie. So yeah, like Ginny and this is like similar to like let's say this scene where Ginny and Paul come back to the training center, and they find like nobody's around, like they think, oh, something's going on here, but like they did the exact same thing in part 3 too. Like the boyfriend and girlfriend come back, find that everybody's gone.
Right.
But yeah, just wanted to point that out for a second. But anyway, they come back, and then they come across Jason comes out of nowhere and like knocks out Paul and goes after Ginny, and they have this thing where this one cliche, the car doesn't start, and this time it's an old Volkswagen Bug, like this way, like one of those really old classic ones. Yeah, like this, like it looks like it was from like 1940s or 50s or something like that. Yeah, but yeah, that cliche, the car doesn't start, so she has to like run and defend herself from Jason, and then she finally finds that shack, and then what's wrong?
No, sorry, she sent me something that was really funny.
Oh. Okay, all right.
Great job, sorry.
Okay, gotcha. And then we finally, what's wrong? Okay, I'll give you a minute.
She's still, give her a minute. She's still laughing about what I brought up earlier.
We're good.
You good? Okay.
Sorry, Don.
That's all right. All right. So then we finally come across the big reveal in the ending, and where Ginny comes across Jason's shack, but it's what she finds inside that it was very chilling. Here, let me share that picture right here. Present. And share screen. Where is it?
It was Sarah who brought it up. That said there was like kind of like a lot of occult references to, especially that scene.
Yeah, there were. And let's see. Here we go.
Yep, that's it.
Yep, she came across this shrine that Jason made to honor his mother. Like right in the center of it, there's the severed head. That's the altar. The clothes that she was wearing when she was killed, and right at the bottom here, I don't think my mouse is picking this up, but yeah, like right here, you see the skeletal remains of Alice. She still has that ice pick. She still has that ice pick in the side of her head. And let's see the body.
See that? What? I did not even see that before.
You never noticed this? The skeleton, Alice's remains.
I'm not lying. I completely had no idea. I did not even see that.
Yeah, well,
wow, how did I miss that after all these years?
You got me. And on the slumped on the side on the On the right here is the body of the cop. Yeah, like
Yep.
yeah. So Jason didn't really move his body that much. I mean, he was killed in that room. And this other girl in the pink sweater. I'm not sure who that is.
I think it might be the girl who's killed off camera because she
Oh,
was
Terry?
wearing like a brightly colored shirt.
Yeah, uh, it's just like she looks different. I don't know if like it looks like she has longer hair or something, but yeah. And yeah, like that's the shrine. And so with Jason in pursuit, Ginny came up with this like idea because she was specializing in child psychology and figured Jason had a childlike nature. So she put on that sweater, Mrs. Voorhees sweater, and then adjusted her hair to look like Mrs. Voorhees. Pretended to be pretended to be Jason, Mrs. Voorhees when Jason came through the door, saying, "You did your job. You can stop now." Like to try to trick him into thinking his mother was still alive. It's surprising that he bought it at first.
Right.
Then she is about to kill him, but then no, from behind Ginny notices the real Mrs. Voorhees' severed head. Thinking, wait a minute, my mother's dead. Like, so he didn't take kindly to Ginny impersonating his mother. So he hit her with that pickaxe against the leg, and then that scuffle between him and Paul. And I will say this scene, the actor who played Jason in this scene did sustain an injury like during the scene where you know Amy Steele brought that machete down onto Jason's shoulder. I think she missed at one point and it caught onto his finger.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm actually looking over the IMDb trivia fact, and I think I just came across it. Seems like the guy that played him looks like he got injured quite a couple of times while he was doing this movie.
Yeah, this is not the only time.
It says here, oh my god, and they have the trivia fact. This is exactly like what I just mentioned earlier, Don, saying Jason in this film is dressed to look exactly the same as the hooded burlap sack killer from the town that dreaded sundown, the Texarkana Moonlight Phantom Killer.
So it's confirmed.
Yeah, the only difference is that the burlap sack he wears has only one eye hole, and his shirt has a slightly different plate design. So I guess you can say that, yeah, there was kind of like a real life Jason at one point.
Yeah, well, I guess so. And then when they finally unmask Jason, here, let me pull that up.
And that's another trivia fact I want to bring up when they shot this, because this was where another injury occurred to him.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Here, let me pull up your open link. Hold on.
And what you see is also really the only time that Jason really has a full set of hair up until Freddy versus Jason, which by then it's not really fully, it's just more like kind of more whitish and kind of aged out. But this is like the only time where he's got full hair in this entire movie.
Yeah, that's right. Let me see if I can get a better picture. Let me pull this up.
Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to read the what happened, like what actually happened to him. So it says here in the scene when Jason crashes into the window and grabs Jenny, the actor Warrington Gillette was actually hurt. He tried to break into the window, only it didn't break, and he ended up banging his head really hard on the glass.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
So this poor guy was going through a lot of bad luck while he was going through this movie. He was taking quite a beating out of this movie. It's kind of crazy thing. The actor who plays the killer, who's supposed to kill his victims, he himself was getting seriously injured.
Yeah, he was. And here, I got 2 images to pull up here. Hang on.
Hey, Chantel's here. Good to see you, Chantel.
Hey, Chantel.
Good morning.
Hey, Joe. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Well, and yep, there it is.
This is where he did that stunt, like breaking through the window, and you finally can see what Jason looks like. Like half his face is like morphed, like disfigured, and like he has a full head of what looks like some brown hair, and yeah, and he's still got that machete still embedded into his shoulder.
Yeah.
Yep. And I do believe I have another here. There's another behind this. I think this is a behind the scenes photo of it. Hang on. Let me pull.
And
this
there's
up
another
here.
trivia fact about that too. It says here, Amy Steele. Okay, hang on, let's see the picture for. Yep, that's it. Oh, Sarah makes a good point. He looks like an adult Chucky in a way. He kind of does.
Adult
Don't tell
Chucky.
me that. Don't tell me
Oh,
that.
man.
I hate Chucky. No.
Oh. Well, hey, the first Child's Play was made here in Chicago, so it's a pretty
Yeah.
important film to us.
Yeah. If you didn't know that. Oh my God. Joe just mentions reminds me of that dude from Goonies. He kind of does.
Oh, I love the Goonies. Oh man.
So here's another trivia fact, and this is another fact about the windows scene. Amy Steele has stated that she found shooting the windows scene difficult because the shot required 3 takes, and her frightened reaction is genuine. Because the shot was in slow motion, a high-speed camera was used, and every time she heard the film start running, she would tense up and get scared.
Oh yeah, they didn't tell her that was going to happen. I mean, that's been used. That's a technique very commonly used in horror films to make a reaction genuine. Because they did this in the last film, and where Alice comes across Bill's body. Adrian King didn't know that she was going to close the door, and then there's going to be a dummy of Bill with arrows impaled into the door. So that scream, that reaction, that was real.
Right.
Yep.
Now
that picture looks creepy. Oh yeah, that's definitely what they were going for, Leon. Yeah,
yep.
like I said, this picture was not in the film. I believe that's a behind the scenes photo.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Now, Don, did you know who ended up taking the effects position since Tom Savini wasn't able to do it? I just found who it was.
I had his name written down somewhere.
Yeah,
Hang on.
it was with Tom Savini unavailable. They turned to Stan Winston to deliver the gore for part 2.
Oh yeah, Stan Winston.
Wait,
yeah. Wait.
Actually, no. Wait, let me take that back.
Wait,
Unfortunately,
I was about to say, wait, what?
it says Winston he was supposed to be the replacement. Unfortunately, Winston was forced to leave due to scheduling conflicts, making way for Carl Fullerton.
I was about to say that would have been cool if it was him, but I was about to say I don't think he did. He blended his expertise into that because Stan Winston created all kinds of iconic monsters in movie history. You know, he designed, let's see, the Predator, the Alien,
Aliens.
Yes, that was him. Let's see,
Terminator.
Terminator. The dinosaurs from Jurassic Park.
You got it.
Yep. And even some lesser known films like he let's see. No, he directed Pumpkinhead. I don't think he did the effects for it, but he did the effects for the monster in Leviathan, the monster in The Relic, also made here in Chicago.
That's right.
Oh yeah. So
now,
he's done some great work.
Now here's another. Just found this. This was another accident that occurred in this movie.
Yeah.
During the scene where Jason is chasing Ginny, she jumps out of the woods. Steve Doskowitz, he ended up falling on the pickaxe and breaking his ribs. Another time he was knocked out, and another time Amy Steele, like you said, actually cut his finger while shooting the ending scene where she fights him with the machete.
Yep.
He ended up going to the hospital, getting stitches, and returning to work.
Yeah, that's the way we got to be careful with our weapons in movies. You know, the props. You know, even though props, it's hard to Oh, here you got somebody here.
Oh, hey Jen, great to see you.
Let's see. Pumpkinhead was a good movie. Oh yeah, the first one. Yeah, the first one is decent. Lance Henriksen. So we may cover that somewhere down the road. So
definitely.
Yeah, I'll consider it.
And I actually was going to bring this up to Nikki earlier. Chantel, I know you said that's the first time you got to meet her. Chantel lives down in South Africa, if you didn't know.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I've met one or two people who've lived there. They say it's nice down there.
It's got some rough areas, but there's some areas where actually Chantel, she's actually trying to move to the United States. So ironically enough, she was gonna, believe it or not, Don, she at one point was gonna move to Chicago, but now she's kind of more looking to moving to like LA.
Oh, well, hey, I know some good places in LA. So yeah, I love Santa Monica. I love the pier. Yeah, I've actually there's that amusement park on the pier. Yeah, it's great.
Joe here says, I know a lot about movies. I should be a critic.
Nice. Yeah, if you you want it, go for it, man. That's because that's what I'm doing. But
So what's the called that you guys were in?
Oh,
What?
the movie that we were in, it's called
Mm.
Gordon Finn 2.
Okay.
I'm not sure if the full movie is available, but there is an IMDb page, and
Oh,
we
yeah.
are credited in it.
Yes, and this is before I had the spiked hair. So if you see a guy looks like this with his hair down and just being like being a jerk to to other fellow patients, to all those patients, like shoving them off the doctor, just being like get back against that wall, you get over there, just being seriously, I can't tell you how much fun I had just being someone else completely. Oh man, because it was good times.
So, see what else I could find about this movie was. Oh, so here's actually. Oh, now here's something interesting. Like when we were talking earlier about like how Adrian King's death scene occurred was. Do you know how they actually did that with the ice pick? Did you guys ever hear how that was worked?
Yeah, I heard that went wrong at some point.
Yeah, she said she explained how her death, the ice pick scene, was filmed. She actually explained it on Facebook. It was a retractable ice pick that was not tested before use.
Ooh, yeah.
The first time the ice pick did not retract. The second take, the lazy propsman, not Jason, had to aim for the hole in my face.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like that's why you always got to test things before you use them in movies. Always.
Yeah, they did not have that thought at the time. But man, there's looking at all this. Yeah, this has got to be like the one. I mean, I could be wrong. The one slasher film where there were pretty much a lot of accidents that occurred making this movie.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, this was not the first, and definitely wasn't the last film to have like mishaps like that. Yeah, just I feel bad for like other actors. Like I know it's not a horror film, but in Super Mario Brothers from 30 years ago, Bob Hoskins being injured multiple times on set. Breaking a finger against a car door, being electrocuted. Yeah, so yeah, that's people got to be careful on set. Safety is no joke.
So, get this.
Oh, that is music. Sorry.
No, you're
I
good.
found it.
Oh, nice.
Yo, you guys, awesome. So, get this.
He's cute. Sorry.
Here's something that's really kind of important. Did you guys know that apparently Jason was not the original name? Apparently, they said Jason's original name was Josh. Screenwriter Victor Miller decided that wasn't scary enough, so they changed it to Jason. Oh yeah, apparently he was supposed to be Josh.
now I'm just picturing Josh Voorhees.
Oh yeah, we did mention this before on the podcast, Joe. Brandon Lee dying on the filming of The Crow. Yes, we talked about that. I believe it was on the April Fool's Day podcast. Yeah, like that episode of FearFans. Yeah. Let's see. Tom said he knew the little girl that was the child actress that was in that, and she said she saw the whole thing happen. So, man, that could
now. I just found something else really interesting, Don. Again, another reference of what we were talking about earlier. Remember, I told you about like the entire creepiness of like when you just see Jason, it's just his legs for the most part. Mm-hmm. Get this. The first Jason scene in the movie is a shot, of course, of Jason's legs walking across the street towards Alice's house. That was not the same actor. It was actually played by actress Ellen Lutter. This is the first and only time where Jason was actually played by a woman.
Yeah.
But and it's kind of a reverse kind of thing when you think about it, kind of like it is with Betsy Palmer as Mrs. Voorhees in the first one. There were times she was played by Tom Savini. So it's like the reverse project. Mrs. Voorhees at times was played by a male actor, and at times Jason was played by a female actress.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
But sometimes I do wonder what it would have been like if Tom Savini did the effects in this film. Would it have been better than what we've seen here, or?
I think in some way they would have been a lot more realistic,
more the same, or maybe there been because knowing Tom Savini, he's like brilliant with what he does. Yeah, like sometimes I do wonder like just how different things would have been if he had been on.
Right.
Yeah, because once again, he's lended his expertise throughout the franchise, especially in the final chapter, the one that had Corey Feldman in it.
Right.
Yeah.
This is gonna sound weird, but one of the other actresses, Lauren Mary Taylor.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna find this hard to believe. She actually had a legitimate crush on her on-screen boyfriend, Tom McBride, but unfortunately, she was unaware at the time that he was actually gay in real life.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, are you referring to the actor who played Mark?
I think so. I think that's
the one in the wheelchair, right?
I believe so. Yeah, he was actually gay in real life.
Oh, I see. Well, yeah, because they this shows just how great they are with acting, because they actually made their relationship look legitimate on film. So
Right.
Yeah, I did like that couple. It was just sad seeing them getting killed off like that.
Yeah.
And speaking of killed off, there's been a debate going on for years, like whether or not Paul, Ginny's boyfriend, was killed. Like after they showed that scene where Ginny was carried away in an ambulance after surviving Jason's attack, but Paul was nowhere in sight. Some people believe that he died, but I think Steve Miner said like Jason crashing through was just a hallucination. But it's open for debate.
Right.
Yeah. But I will say this: we were just talking about the full head of hair that Jason had in this film. But as we go into part 3, which takes place immediately after the events of this film, Jason's bald now.
Oh, wow.
Well, I just looked up. This actually, this was again in reference to when you showed the face of what Jason looked like, including the behind the scene. They're saying here on IMDb that Jason very likely had something called, this might be a reference to the deformity he has. He very likely had Proteus syndrome, which is a rare genetic disorder that Joseph Merrick, who's better known as the Elephant Man, had.
Oh.
So, and Jason wore a burlap sack, because Joseph Merrick, he actually did that in real life, wearing a burlap sack to hide his deformities.
That's right.
So it was probably the same. He was like a slasher version of the Elephant Man.
Oh, wow.
Could be. Yeah.
But it's never explained why in part 3 he's bald, unless he somehow managed to cut it himself.
Yeah, that was with a machete. That seems unlikely. Just smooth, a smooth shaved head with a machete. That seems unlikely.
Right.
But yeah, that's just like one of the biggest inconsistencies that I've noticed in the franchise.
Now, there's also something else, if you guys have never actually done. This goes what you were just talking about with the guy, Paul. It says here, because this was actually supposed to be the original ending of Friday the 13th Part 2. Apparently, there's a deleted part of the ending that after the camera has completely zoomed in on Mrs. Voorhees' head, her eyes open and she smiles at us.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, indicating that Jason has killed Paul. This was cut for looking too fake.
Yeah.
Since it was cut, it is now considered evidence that Paul was murdered.
Yeah, I feel like it would have been cheesy. A severed head, someone who's been dead for 5 years, just out of nowhere opens eyes and smiles. That's
well, it kind of makes sense why they didn't. It makes sense why they didn't want to add that, because they wanted to basically keep it to probably just a slasher movie. They didn't want to make it basically having like a full supernatural theme to it. They wanted to just stick to the slasher theme of it.
That's right. Yeah. So overall, part 2 was a worthy sequel to. Might cause the hair to fall out. What his condition?
He's talking about like when Jason was bald. It might be from his deformity, maybe. I could be wrong.
It just caused it to fall out overnight. Again, unlikely.
Should have went with Jeremy. What? I don't know what Sarah's referencing.
I don't know what Sarah's talking about.
What's
But yeah, overall, part 2, a worthy sequel. There are better sequels out there, but this one was a fairly good introduction to the character Jason. And so, yeah, next week we are covering Friday the 13th Part 3, also known as Friday the 13th Part 3 3D. Yeah, and like I said before,
like as I mentioned before, the Blu-ray collection that I do have, like part 3, it features the option to like have it in 3D, but it does not come with 3D glasses. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, then why even bother?
exactly.
Yeah, so I don't get it.
Um,
I think what?
No, I was gonna make my announcements like I usually do right before we end things.
Okay.
Well, for starters, Nikki, I know I told you about this last night. Don,
Yeah.
did you watch the Paranormal Awards? Jeremy broadcasted it just yesterday.
Oh no, I wasn't able to. Yeah,
Really well done. I gotta say, really well done for all the participants that took part in it, and also, of course, more importantly, congratulations to the nominees and also those who won the respective positions. I'm looking forward of doing the, I'm looking forward to doing this again next year for the 2023 awards. And like I said, Nikki, hopefully we can get you on for that. We can get you on for this one. I know it's a year away, but before you know it, it'll be here before we know it. So, yeah, you guys got to check it out. If you guys like, well, Nikki, I already sent you the link. Don, if you like, I could send it to you myself so you can watch it. It's about a 40-minute video, but it's a lot of fun. And my video is just, let's just say Jeremy saved the best for last. Saved me for the best for last.
Nice.
But now moving forward with the other shows. Tomorrow, of course, I'll be back on with Nick Files. We're going to continue on with part 5 of Athens, Ohio. So there are so many there are so many locations in this town. That's why I'm sticking to this location. I mean, this one area for the longest time. Sounds ominous. I'm not sure what Sarah means by that.
I don't know.
I don't know what she means. That's sounding ominous. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to continue on with part 5 of Athens, Ohio. And then for Thursday to the grave and back, we got. Oh, you know what? Okay, I remember now. See, last week we weren't able to do a full episode because we were kind of running late. We were only able to like really run. It was probably one of our shortest shows ever. Lois was unavailable to do the show, so me and Rosie, we were kind enough to take over and step in and take over. We were talking last week about. I'm sure you guys have heard of this well-known. He's not really a serial killer, but he was responsible still for many deaths. Jim Jones.
I think I've heard that name.
The Jim Jones Massacre or Jonestown Massacre. That was that whole suicidal murder that occurred back in the late 70s in Guyana in South America. Does that ring a bell?
No.
I think so. Yeah. I think I've read something about that. Something about that years ago.
Nikki, I'll definitely give you some education on it because let's just say he was crazy. Yes, and Joe just wrote down, like, gave some descriptions. He was a cult leader. The poison Kool-Aid, drink the Kool-Aid as that reference.
I remember the poison drinks. Yeah.
My God. And Joe remembered this. He watched it as it happened on television. And it was now 45 years ago. It occurred in November of 1978. So yeah, he was insane. He was an insane guy.
He was.
So yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about to the grave and back on Thursday, and then supernatural talk. As far as I know, it's just going to be an open mic chat. Although I think we might have a guest coming on. It might be a host from one of our other shows, the Reverend Sean Winnington. Okay, so yeah, open mic. I'm correct. Jeremy, I remember we were going to try to get the Rev on at some point on as a guest. So we got that, and then finally for Friday on the Frighteners, we have who do we? Oh no, we don't have a guest on. I always forget at least one of these shows, but that we got a lot on for that. Let's see. Wait, they can't. Oh, he's talking about the Rev, and I can't remember his name, but I know who Jeremy's talking about. They can't do it this week. Yes, Joe, if you want to join, you know what, Joe? I mean, if you like, since you remember some of this, maybe we could have you on the maybe we could have you onto the Graven back so you could talk about what you remember from that tragic event back in 1978. Oh, and also Jeremy has announced 13th Dimension is coming back this week, so it'll be great having 13th Dimension back on the network. And yeah, we'll definitely have you on, Joe.
Nice.
So a lot coming up, and it's going to be really exciting. But yeah, and like I said, Don, we'll have you on to the Graven back. Of course, Nikki, we got to have you on, especially like when you were talking about Kathleen. What was her last name?
Night.
Kathleen Knight. Very gruesome murder.
Yep.
Dirty pie.
So,
Yeah. So let's see. Oh yeah, one thing I can announce. Something I've been doing for the past couple of months on my YouTube channel is live streaming games off of my PS5. And lately, I've been playing. I played Resident Evil games like crazy on there. I played the Resident Evil 4 remake, Resident Evil 2 remake, and 3 remake. And so you can find those like listed under live on my YouTube channel. But also tomorrow, I'm going to be going back to start finishing up live stream of Kingdom Hearts. And it's that Disney game from back in 2002, and it's oh man, it's like a trip down memory lane. It just takes me back to simpler times.
Just very quickly, and we've talked about this before, but Jeremy had a good question. This is probably more of a question for you, Nikki. Is that are there any real good horror films based in Australia? Which I already know the answer to some of them, but I thought Nikki, you should answer this time.
Okay. Yes, there are. There is the Catherine Knight serial killer movie, and there is some other movies that we're hopefully to discuss soon.
Well, I already threw one before, and we've talked about before. Obviously, Wolf Creek. That's a gruesome movie.
oh man, yeah, it is. And I mentioned Rogue before. Same director.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Now,
I mentioned that crocodile movie Rogue before. Same director. We found out.
and there is one other movie. It's not based on a true story, but this is an Australian horror film. And Nikki, you might know this one, The Babadook.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you don't know that one? Oh my
no.
God.
Oh,
It's a movie that I would probably say like there's people who do. It's one of those movies where some people like it, others don't. I guess it kind of depends on what you think, but it's it's a creepy movie. I saw that one in theaters a few years back. So it was awesome. Honestly, I gotta admit, it was kind of amazing they were able to get, quite a good Australian horror film to be shown at American theaters. So it was nice. It was nice to sometimes see a movie from another country for a change.
Yeah.
and let's see. I was gonna say wanted to get to the comments in a second. I just wanted to announce tomorrow I'll be on live stream playing Kingdom Hearts at about 7 p.m. Central Time, and wanted to get to this comment. So yeah, be sure to join me for that if you guys are interested. Here,
He's joking. I know he is. He's putting an LOL in it. He's joking.
I hope so. So it turns out you're a Nintendo Switch fan, huh? Hey,
He was messaging me early. He was messaging me earlier today. He wasn't. He was going to be playing a game on his server, but it wasn't able to. He couldn't get the connection. So
you're a Nintendo Switch fan, huh? Hey, I'm just kidding. I am too.
Oh no, he's got Xbox One at the moment.
So do I.
He said he'll never buy a PlayStation again after they close down Peace Show. I never heard of that.
PlayStation Home.
Oh, PlayStation Home. Okay. Oh, Brett's back. So you watch the new Scream. We have not seen the new one yet.
I have. It's on Paramount Plus.
We're gonna have to watch one of these days.
Yep. Just like we had to watch Renfield and Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah, we got quite a couple of movies we got to watch. PC gaming all the way. And actually, I should probably tell Nikki, I'm not sure if you're a big fan of gaming, but believe it or not, we actually are trying to start a Jeremy, myself, and some of the other show hosts, as well as Don. We're actually hoping at some point real soon to start a gaming show here on this network. So we're still kind of testing things out. So obviously, again, when we haven't made it official yet, but hopefully real soon we'll have a gaming show.
Yeah, one of the games that Nick and I both want to play
Yeah, I mean, Nick. One of the games that Nick and I both want to play on there, if we do get that set up, is Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2.
Oh wow, awesome.
That
Oh,
is
yeah.
just an awesome game.
We love those games. Yes, we played like alongside each other before on Steam, and we're just trying to figure out we're gonna be able to pull that off because yeah. Oh,
Yep. See, we got a compliment here from Brad.
oh yeah, it's great. You know, like what I love about how you need to have like teamwork skills to play that game. You know, you have to like really like be there for each other in that. You can't just like go wandering off, just killing whatever.
Yeah.
No, you have to work as a team.
Hey, Tom's here. What's up, Tom? Unfortunately, we're just about to be ending in just another minute or so, but glad you're here though.
Yeah. Oh, here. He says, I have an old Dreamcast. I didn't have a Dreamcast. I wasn't a Sega guy as a kid, but one of my cousins had one. So, yeah, it was it was all right for what it was at the time.
Brad was asking earlier too, by the way, where's Evil Dead Rise streaming?
Nowhere yet. It just came out in theaters. So, oh yeah, I still got to see that. And yeah, it's only a matter of time before Renfield starts streaming somewhere because they're starting to, surprisingly enough, it hasn't been in theaters for a little more than 2 weeks, and they're already like limiting how many theaters are showing it. It's weird.
I am an old school gamer. It still has PS3.
I had one.
Oh God. Brad just made this. Check this out, guys. I want to see Nick and Don scream playing Phasmophobia.
Oh my god.
Uh,
I don't really scream in games. I'm just like, oh.
There's only like been one game that actually kind of made me scream at one point, and that was and Don, you still got to play this game. It's Outlast 2.
I've played Outlast, just not the second one.
You see, yeah, I know you played the original. If do you know the Outlast games, Nikki? Ever heard of those ones?
Nah. Sorry, I'm
They're-
not a gamer.
Well, I'm just gonna say this. They're really intense, but I think the second one is even more frightening. It's a survival horror type game, and it's one of the games where you have only 3 options because you can't fight back in these games. Your
Okay.
only options is to run, hide, or die. That's all you get.
Nick, here.
Sorry.
I have a game that will make you scream in terror. It's called The X.
That's a good one.
Oh man. Like
What?
the only game that has ever maybe close to Screaming Terror that I played recently was the Resident Evil 3 remake because the original version terrified me when I was little. My babysitter played it, Resident Evil 3, because of Nemesis. This
Yeah.
big 7-8 foot tall creature that chases you throughout the game and is also armed with a rocket launcher. So yeah, so when he's
Crazy.
not beating you to the ground, he's shooting you with a rocket launcher.
Brad's asking, have you played Phasmophobia? Yeah.
No.
Do you guys know what Phasmophobia is? You guys know what the game is? Okay,
Yes, I've
so
heard of
Nikki knows. So Don, Phasmophobia, it's basically the first type of horror type game where it's a paranormal investigation game. You come in to like a certain house, and what I love again is that they make it an international type game. So like you could explore like a location North or South America, Europe, Asia. I know Australia's featured in it. I like how diverse they make it.
Oh, yeah.
So but you go in and you try to record any type of activity. However, even though it's an investigating game, you still can die in the game because you encounter different type of paranormal entities, and like Outlast, you can't fight back. Your only option is to run, hide, or die.
Oh my god.
Or
It's
throw
a
cans
good-
at people. Mad.
It's a lot of fun. It's a great game. It's another game where you could play with others on Steam. They will make you scream, Don. It's a lot of fun. It's a great game.
Oh yeah, nice. But oh yeah, I mean that doesn't surprise me. And back then, people weren't prepared for like a content like that in video games, and we see a whole lot of it now. But
Oh yeah.
yeah. Oh, Billy's saying back. Yeah, we're just about to wrap this up, Billy. Think of Sackhead Jason.
Sackhead Jason. That's a new name.
I've never heard that one before, but yeah, he was Sackhead Jason. He's pretty crazy. He's brutal when he wants to be. So yeah, overall, Friday the 13th Part 2, a fairly good sequel. I recommend it to fans of slashers, fans of the franchise, and so want to wrap this up by saying, for those of you who have been loving, since we started talking about video games, you guys love watching live streams. Be sure to tune in tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central Time, as I will be going back into Kingdom Hearts on my PS5. I can't wait to finish that game up. So, yeah, we're going to wrap this up here. So, hope you guys enjoyed this podcast episode. As always, Nick and Nikki, thank you for joining me on this. Yep, for sure. And be sure to tune in next week on Tuesday at 8:30 Central Time as we cover Friday the 13th Part 3. Cannot wait to continue this franchise. And see you guys next time. Bye.
Have a great night.
Bye.